Hi, I'm Heather from booktubes and welcome to finishing my pre-2023 TBR from Goodreads. Ignore whatever is going on with this tree. It is the leftovers. And also I need some more lights and things aren't working. It is fine. It's fine. So anywho, I made a spread in my reading journal this year, which you can see. And this really helped me to read my oldest TBR book. So I do delete a lot of books off of Goodreads. I delete books all of the time. Because I don't typically buy books, it's really easy to be like, I'm not really interested in that anymore and just let it go. Just completely take it out of my mind and off of my Goodreads. And if I ever do happen to become interested in it again, or seeing it recommended or any of those things, it's really easy to just add it back on Goodreads. No big deal. All of the light blue is deleted. Obviously, I deleted most of them. However, I do still have 4 books that I don't want to delete, that I want to actually pick up and try. 2 are owned ebooks that I particularly want to read because of that reason, but also their own ebooks are still on my TBR. One is a nonfiction that was recommended to me. One is a Christmas romance. So here we go. The first one is Dirty Intentions by Aubrey, Bondurant. This is the only Christmas romance that was on my TBR last December that I didn't read, but am still interested in reading. I have never read from this author. I don't know where I got this book from or who has read this author. No idea, but I want to try it. The next one is Her Sweet Alpha by Thayer King. This is, I believe, a werewolf and he's sweet alpha. He's a alpha mellow. I don't know, this has been on my TBR for literally forever. Again, I own it and that's why I've never stopped being interested in it. Again, don't know the author, know nothing about the author, don't know if the writing will work for me. Next is Dangerous Temptations, which is Dark Dream Duet #1 by Giana darling. I do own this duet on ebook because it was gifted to me. This is Mafia and she's a lawyer, I believe. I have long had Giana darling on my radar. I've never cracked open a single one of her books. And I don't know if I would love her or hate her or feel meh towards her writing. And I would like to find out, particularly because this was purchased for me and I would like to honor that gift and open it. And lastly is Conditional Citizens on Belonging in America by Laila Lalami. This is a Moroccan immigrant. She is a Muslim woman. She talks a lot about xenophobia and racism and her experience being an immigrant in the United States. I have already started this audiobook on Libby. One thing I will say, I did not realize that it was memoir style nonfiction, and that doesn't really interest me. I'm just not interested in memoirs in general. So I am going to give this a little bit more time, even though she already talked about her mother or mother-in-law, I'm not sure, having Alzheimer's, which you might know is a trigger for me. It is a trauma of mine. So I am going to keep reading it. Right now we're only around the events of September 11th, 2001, where obviously Islamophobia and hate crimes drastically rose in the US and perhaps around the world, I don't know, but particularly in the US. So I'm willing to give it more time, but if I had known that it was a memoir, I probably wouldn't put it on my TBR in the first place because that's just not a thing that I am interested in when it comes to my nonfiction. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it either way. So that's it. Those are the books that I need to finish to officially have my pre-23 TBR read. So come with me on this journey. Hello. I am trying to drink coffee before I run to the store again. It's not fun buying for a family of 5. These kids, man, they just eat and they don't eat the same things, or they do eat what each other wanted, and that's a lot. It's a lot. And Mama wants a Caesar salad. But I am mainly here, one, to let you know that Evermore is the track of the season because 'Tis the Damn Season is on that album. And I also need to start my December playlist. So I've been listening just to the Christmas playlist. I have a specific December playlist that has like a couple of my favorite Christmas songs, and then like 'Tis the Damn Season, and a couple of like seasonal favorites back to December, obviously. So I just feel like, you know, I've got to get on that playlist. It's not important, but know that it's important to me. So I'm here actually to update you because I read Dirty Intentions by Aubrey Bond. Does that sound right? Probably not. 1 star. And a surprise twist, folks. I not only did not DNF this book, but I gave it 1 star. I think this is literally my second 1 star of the year. Because I usually DNF books that are going to be that bad, right? And you might be like, Heather, how could a steamy, sexy, erotica Christmas novella get 1 star from you? Well, I'm here to tell you, and it's a tale. Alright, so this is Dirty Intentions by Aubrey Bondurant. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. Alright, number 1, the sex in this was not bad. The sex was good. The sex kept me going. The sex was working for me. Sex was great. And by great, I mean it was kinky fine. This man was insufferable. Insufferable. This man has the emotional bandwidth of a cucumber, which is to say, none at all. If I had $1 for every mistake that he made, every absolute astronomical jump that he made, every wall that he threw up, every time he should have groveled for his little life and repented from his ways and proceeded to improve, and instead of improving actually would just do something worse the next time. Oh my god. Okay, so he owns a sex club, right? No big deal. No big deal. No, this is the absolute end all be all worst thing that he could possibly do in his mind. And also he won't give it up, and also he loves it, and also it's his life, but also he absolutely does not deserve happiness because of it. I'm sorry. This man is the same age as me. He is 32 years old. He is 32 years old. And you know what his biggest hangups are? Number 1. 10 years ago, when he was 22 years old, he went on a couple of dates with a girl. And he brought that girl to his sex club and had a scene with her. And he kissed her and all sorts of stuff for a couple of dates. And then this girl assumed that they were falling in love, and they were not. That was all he wanted. And this girl was deeply hurt and traumatized by that. Deeply hurt and traumatized by these 2 dates and this 1 night of sex. And because of that, she told his mother that he owns a sex club. Again, he's 22. His mother, being a conservative evangelical Christian, was like, no. Disowned him, made him choose between the club and his family. Someone from evangelical Christianity who has never understood families disowning their children for not following the letter of the law in the way that they want them to. But I could rant about that for the next hour, but we're not going to. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So his mother disowned him, and to her dying day, didn't speak to him. Because of this club. He has no intention of ever giving up. He loves the club. So again, this is a 32-year-old man, same age as me. Also, I also grew up in a conservative Christian family, and to say that them disapproving of a sex club would not be shocking to me is an understatement. There are plenty of things, and part of it is my parents aren't the type to disown their children because they disagree with them. However, there are 50 bajillion things that I do that my parents don't approve of. Number 1, listening to Taylor Swift. Number 2, wearing pants. Number 3, talking about romance books on the internet, even though they don't know about that. And we're not telling them. Not because I could get in trouble or any of those things, but just out of respect for them, in that I don't rub the things that I know that they don't believe in their face. I'm also still going to do what I'm comfortable with, and I'm not going to follow their rules as an adult, even though they genuinely believe them and follow them themselves. I don't feel the need to live my life according to someone else's beliefs. What an update this is. This is something. So while I understand that having a parent who disapproves of you, disown you, and them dying without ever rectifying that being difficult, obviously, I understand that. I'm not sure that all of his hangups were really necessary. Based on those 2 dates 10 years ago and his mother being very conservative, which could not have come as a surprise to him. Okay, so that's her backstory. That's her backstory. This update is going to be as long as this book. That's ridiculous. Anywho, so he never kisses women, ever. He only does like one night. He has a longtime bartender that he's done several scenes with, but he's gotten the idea that she's catching feelings for him, and so he has stopped doing scenes with her, right? For the most part. Until he's trying to get this girl out of his system, in which case he will schedule a scene. So, this girl goes to the club to catch her fiance cheating. She goes to the sex club, she gets pictures of him, but also he is in a scene with a man and a woman. She did not realize that he was bisexual, and he is cheating on her with a man and a woman. I would not be thrilled if I found out that my husband was having sex and I didn't know, right? However, I do think it's weird that calling scenes at a club cheating so much. Also, additionally, a huge issue that I have with this book is the fact that he's bisexual and getting it from a man is really kind of mocked, and in no way on page ever is it addressed by the author or by the characters at all that being bisexual is okay. Like, it's not. It's really kind of mocked, and it's something that he is very clearly ashamed of, doesn't want people to know about. But the characters are never like, but that's just something we can use against him. It's not our beliefs, or like, it's very weird. It's very weirdly, in my opinion, homophobic and biphobic specifically. I really think it is. Okay, so that's strike number 1. Strike number 2. This man doesn't want to have sex with her or anything because he doesn't do relationships. Again, he's 32. Get it together. If you don't want to do relationships, that's totally fine. But if the entire book is you desperately wanting to have a relationship with this woman and being like, no, I can't. Remember that girl? Remember that 22-year-old from 10 years ago who went on 2 dates and caught feelings and ruined my life over 2 dates and 1 night of sex? Yeah. So he's like really jealous of like anyone that she interacts with, but he's also avoiding her, and he's also definitely being a jerk and an a-hole and just the absolute worst. She is like, all right, whatever, that's fine. But this man that I just broke up with basically rarely made me come for 2 years, and I want to get some. So she books this boyfriend experience and is bound and blindfolded. And instead of the person that she scheduled, he switches it out and pretends to be the other person. And she knows that it's him. But the breach of consent in that, oh, that bugged me. Oh, that bugged me. I'm sorry. You run a professional sex club. You have to know that you can't just swap out who somebody agreed to have sex with. You have to know that. All right, so there's that. Also, something in the numbers isn't adding up. She's a tax attorney. That's how they're in forced proximity. After he catches her taking pictures in his club, she shows him how she breached his security. Also, he needs somebody to fix it before they get audited on New Year's. And it is the week of Christmas. So, like, he needs immediate help, right? Then she spends the week of Christmas working on this audit, and the bartender that he had thought is catching feelings won't give her the receipts. We all know where this is going, right? She works till 9:00 p.m. on Christmas. Doesn't have an interaction with him on Christmas other than like another fight little thing and them saying Merry Christmas. That's the Christmas content in this book, and just kill me now. And then he is so inconsiderate in like so many different ways. I can't even begin to tell you. And then
All right, so they're not sleeping together. They're not having a relationship. They're not doing this, and they keep falling into bed with each other almost every single day, but whatever. So the only thing good about this, their interactions, about this book, about any of it, is the sex, because he cannot have a conversation to save his life, because he is so busy deciding that she's going to be date of 10 years ago 2.0. Also, she's never been to a sex club before. So they're from different worlds and they couldn't possibly merge. And nobody who ever is in this scene at all was ever a first timer. Nobody's ever been a beginner before. Ever. That's crazy. Why would someone who is new to the experience want more? That has never happened in the history of the world. I cannot with this book. Anyhow, alright, so they're having sex. He's inconsiderate. He's an asshole. He's causing fights. He's being ridiculous. She is being reasonable, but for some reason continuing to sleep with him when she should dump him. She should ditch him. She should literally have nothing to do with him. He's the worst. Then she randomly invites him to go along with her as her date to her cousin's wedding the day before New Year's Eve. He is taking her to the wedding. She calls the cousin. She gets the +1. All of this. Her ex is also going to be there. All this stuff. And then on the way, he freaks out finding out that her parents are going to be at this wedding. Even though it's her cousin's wedding. It's a family wedding. So obviously family would be there. And you know how this gets resoluted? 1, she apologizes for not being more clear that her family would be present at her cousin's wedding. I'm sorry, what did you think was, what? This man, I can't stand this man. Then he leaves her. He just drops her off at the venue. Then he changes his mind, because of course he does. And then they have a showdown with the ex. Then he has a quickie with her. Then they go to the reception. Then after that, he spends the night with her, and this is too much for him. This is too much. This is a relationship. And he can't have those because he's 32, and 10 years ago when he was 22, he went on 2 dates with a girl, and he led her on by kissing her on the mouth on date number 2 or whatever. Sir! Then she's like trying to get the receipts from this bartender and is like trying to check the deliveries and stuff, and is pretty sure that the bartender is stealing from the company. But he is insistent that she is just jealous that they have a thing. Mind you, they've been hooking up for a week. Number 2, he hired her specifically because the numbers are not adding up in his company. He's about to be audited by the IRS, and he needs help, especially because they are a membership club, not a sex club. So he doesn't really want them taking too close to the peak, right? God in heaven. So then, this is the longest vlog update I've ever had in my entire life. The bartender hides the delivery and stuff, already puts it away when they were supposed to audit. And he's like, it's fine. She was busy. It's New Year's Eve, blah, 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 blah. So then she's finding it, and the next delivery is going to be on Thursday when her last day there is supposed to be on Wednesday. And she's like, I really think you guys should audit that delivery. I think this is your issue. And he's like, you just want to stay another day because you're so into me. So she's like, all right, well, whatever. I don't have to be there, but I think that you should probably check this delivery because I think this is your issue. So then she gets all this proof, right? She takes it to him and his best friend and business partner and is like, look, you are having thousands of dollars stolen from you from these deliveries. Your bartender and someone at the distribution company are working together and you are being robbed. And he is like, I can't believe you are just personally attacking her. Also, the bartender's name is Heather. So he's like, I can't believe that you're personally attacking Heather. I can't believe that you're letting your jealousy and your feelings get in the way of this. And I'm like, she is a tax attorney. You hired her, you brought her here because you knew that your numbers weren't adding up. Like, I cannot with this. Also, they decide not to press charges against her or anything. So how does that resolve your tax issue? Do you just get to write this much that our numbers are off, was embezzled, and that employee has been fired, and that's all you have to do to square everything up with the IRS? You're like, what is the resolution there? What is your legal recourse? Don't you like have to press charges or file something? I don't know, but they don't. They just know that it's her, and I guess their tax issue is fixed. We did it. We did it, team. I don't know. And then she is like, all right, so he's not gonna listen. So she hands all the papers to the best friend, and the best friend is going through it. And he's like, you aren't going to believe her, are you? Then he's like, I'm gonna go talk to Heather. So of course he goes. Of course she is robbing them blind. And then you would think that that would be the last that they would see each other, right? You would think, honestly, you would think that that would be the last that they see each other. But no, she lets him have sex with her that night. And then when he wakes up, she's gone. She's gone on a plane to Jamaica. And then he gets on the plane to Jamaica. And now they're going to live happily ever after. Because he was tired. The only reason why he said all that was he was tired. He'd been up all night for New Year's Eve. He was running on adrenaline and fumes. The reason why he thought that she was a lying liar who was jealous and just a clingy wannabe girlfriend and not a tax attorney is because he was tired. He doesn't mean it. You can't hold that against him. He was tired. And now, you know, he's not going to stop being such a flaming a-hole, but she can put up with it. Me now. Just kill me now. I cannot believe the drivel that I read. I stayed up reading this until almost midnight last night. For what? For what? For nothing. That's an absolute waste of time. Yeah, I don't care if he lives or dies. I don't. Also, now they are monogamous and he's never going to have sex with anybody ever again. And she's not going to do any scenes because he doesn't want anybody to see her naked. Happily ever after. The end. Oh, also, I wanted to show you my country chic Walmart look. With the hoodie and the millennial distressed skinny jeans that I'm just feeling today. I know that they age me. I know that they date me. I know that they're not popular, but I am a millennial. And sometimes you just need that. And also, again, I'm going to a country Walmart. Believe me, is the height of country Walmart fashion to still be wearing distressed skinny jeans. Know that. I'm doing laundry and I might be about to have one star and 3 DNFs for this vlog. So here's where we're at right now. I DNF'd Her Sweet Alpha because 1, bad writing. 2, I think that this character has come a long way in the genre as a whole since I put this book on my TBR. Alpha Mellow wasn't really a thing when I put it on my TBR, and so the idea of a sweet alpha was something that I was into because I was kind of tired of alpha holes, basically. And then also it's that there's like instantly aggression from another woman, like sexually assaulting the hero, honestly, is what it is. And you know, she wants to be a prospective mate, and she's like, well, your dick is into me, and he is like, no, it's just that big, it's soft. And I was like, all right, I'm done. I don't need that villainization of other women where they just want the hero so much and, you know, they're willing to do anything to get him, and that's like a big plot point.
and we were in like the second chapter and that was already happening, and I was like, I don't need this. I don't need this. Also, they just found out that werewolves are a thing, and she like said she didn't want like fleas and some fur or whatever in her bed, and I was like, all right, no. Because she's a human. She just found out about werewolves. She's never met one. Yeah, no, it's not for me. It's very clearly not for me. So I DNF'd that in the second chapter. Yeah, can let that one go. All right, I'm here to close out the vlog. So I picked up Dangerous Temptations by Giana Darling. I skimmed like the first chapter or so and DNF'd. So I did not realize, even though it says this in the synopsis, I did not realize that this is a taboo romance. I had the synopsis wrong. That's a whole different duology of hers. This one, her mother's not a very good mother, and her mother has a lot of boyfriends, and she has this boyfriend who on their very first interaction is very like aggressive and says that he's not going to be there for her daddy issues and stuff. And then she is going to be, she's like 17. She's going to be into hearing his voice from her mother's bedroom while he sleeps with her mother, and then her mother's going to die and leave guardianship of her children to this boyfriend of 3 months, and then he's going to run her life, and that's also the love interest. I have discovered, right, I've explored this in depth in videos. I feel like that I'm not into taboo romance, and this synopsis does absolutely nothing for me. I have no interest in reading this, and I will not be. Not because I think it's bad, not because I think anything about it. I just know it's not for me. I have firmly decided I am not into the taboo subgenre of romance. Okay, so that was a quick DNF. And then I also did DNF Conditional Citizens, again, just because it's memoir and that's not what I read. So I think what we can take away from this is, number one, trust your reading taste. Your reading taste is your reading taste for a reason. Exploring new things can lead to new favorites, and that's great, but if you know something's not for you, it's not for you, and that's fine. The other thing is, don't hold on to those books that you think that maybe you want to read, but really you don't, and you never ever pick them up, and they're just hanging onto your TBR for forever. We had 3 DNFs and a 1-star. You don't need to hold on to these books. You might say that's not really a scientific method. Your little 4-book DNF immediately experiment doesn't mean that I won't love this book that's been on my TBR for 5 years. And you'd be right, except also I'm right. You don't need to hold on to that. The chances of it being a 5-star are slim to none. And even if it is, are you seriously telling me that there's no other books that you're more interested in that could also have been a potential 5-star? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Because I don't believe that for a minute. Not for a minute. Get rid of the books! Delete them off your TBR. DNF if you want to sample it. Try a chapter, whatever. You don't even have to try a whole chapter. You don't have to try a whole chapter. But more than that, just like let go of books. And you don't have to feel any sort of negative emotion about that. Just delete, delete, delete. Goodbye. Moving on. The TBR has grown. There are books that I have heard of since I put these on my TBR that I never heard of, that didn't even exist at the time. Keep it moving. That's my advice this holiday season. While you're going into the new year and you want, a fresh slate, whether that is clutter or mental clutter or your TBR, get rid of it. You won't miss it. You can be surprised at how you will never think about those things again if you don't have anything to remind you of it. If you don't have the book sitting there, you're not thinking about that book. That book is long out of mind. So you might as well be out of sight too. All right, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. There's your unsolicited advice and me finishing my pre-2023 TBR. All right, hold on, I'm back. I was editing that clip and I was like, oh, I should update the spread so I can put the picture in the video. Let's go over, actually, real quick, the stats for the
oldest TBR books. So I have 5 that were put on there in 2021, and I have 48 that were put on there in 2022. Of the books put on in 2021, I have 3 DNFs, 1 deleted, but I also have The Mask of Mirrors, which was my favorite series of the year. I would say it was my favorite book, but I actually love the second book even more. This was a huge hit for me. This was a book that I was so glad that I actually picked up. Didn't delete, didn't DNF. I did consider DNFing it at the beginning. I was so happy that I pushed through. So of these, some of my oldest books, I have a new all-time favorite. Then of the 48 books in 2022, I do have 3 5-stars in there. But particularly The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches is another favorite of the year for me. It is a book that I absolutely adored and would be really sad if I hadn't read, genuinely. There's not that many books that I do feel that way about. There's mostly books that I feel that, yes, I loved it, but if I had loved another book instead, that would have been fine. But there's some that are just, you know, they're the top of the top. They're your favorites. They're the best books of your year. So I did have 2 books on this list that were that for me. So I think I'm going to amend my previous statement. Say, yes, if you're not interested, you can delete. And absolutely, if the beginning isn't doing anything for you, go ahead and DNF. But sometimes, and I guess this is where people really struggle, because it's like, where do you draw the line? Sometimes it's worth giving it a shot. Sometimes you do have a new favorite hiding in there. I just happen to have already gotten to those favorites earlier in the year than this video. Of the 52 books that were on my TBR before the January 1st, 2023, I deleted 24 of them, which is almost half. Completely fine with that. I DNF'd 19 and I read 10, and there are no books on here that are still on my TBR. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really glad that I kept track of it this year. I plan on keeping track of it in my 2024 journal as well. I already have the spread set up and ready to go. I think that this is a fun project. I think it's just, you have to be willing to let go of the majority of these books. Hope this helps. Okay, bye.